Hey, hope you're doing well. Just gonna wait for some more people to hop on. Oh man, feel free to hop into the chat and ask questions or just talk to everybody, and we'll get started here in a little bit. Hope everybody's having a good week. Just gonna wait, maybe about 5 minutes, maybe, and see if we can get the room full of a few more people. But today we're gonna talk about the weather and upcoming severe potential, which looks to be mostly in the southeast, but we'll also talk about what might be in store for Texas, and then maybe we'll talk about what's going on now. There's some weather out east today as well, but we've got a storm system going to be rolling through here in the next day or so over the weekend. Just see if we can get a few more people in here. I'm gonna go check on my phone and see. It says I'm live. I didn't change the thumbnail. I guess I should have changed the thumbnail. Oh my god. Turn my volume down. Well, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and start talking. Um, while we wait for a few more people to hop on, and go ahead and pull up pivotal weather here. So, got a little bit of a weather system coming through. This is our first hints of anything severe for Texas. I don't think there's going to be anything in Texas, but there's a hint of it at least for Texas. But we will see. It's for tomorrow, and SPC hasn't said anything, so not for severe weather anyway. There is a chance of thunderstorms, but just looking at the models, it just really looks slim to none for severe. Probably just not enough instability. But let's go ahead and take a look. This is in the morning, Friday morning, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go frame by frame here. Let's take a look. And we've got a little bit of a disturbance right here. Let me get the pencil. A little disturbance right here. Kind of here, but this is kind of on the wrong end. But get this, it's maybe going to ripple through and get up here. So let's go to the next frame. So we got this disturbance that's going to be coming through, and you get this other little disturbance rounding the bottom of this. It looks like it just kind of stays there, and then starts to progress, and you can kind of see connection's a little slow. But see throughout the day, and then you got this little disturbance here that looks like it's going to bring something in. But just taking a look at the overall upper level winds, our low level jet stream is basically non-existent. So I'm not really anticipating any kind of severe weather with this, to be completely honest. Um, Even though there's going to be some sort of storms, there's not going to be anything severe enough for Texas anyway. So I guess we'll go ahead and take a look at the surface here. Let's take a look at dew points. Our dew points aren't very high. We're in the mid 40s. Down here, we're in the low 50s by 7 p.m. So moisture is really kind of confined to the coast here, which kind of tells me we're not going to get much in the way of severe weather. It's just going to be all very elevated, probably cold rain. Um, Surface level pressure, you can't really see it on the chart, but you can see the winds kind of circling around this area right here. That's going to give us the chance for some precipitation. And you can see here on the simulated radar that we have kind of a MCV almost. We had a couple of storms going across parts of the big country. And then some rain up to the north. But there's just not much in the way of storms. It's just kind of the wrong time of year for that. Not much instability. If we go to most unstable, Cape, well, there's almost nothing. Right in here, you get a chance in the warmer part of the day, and then it kind of goes away. Some instability down here, but it's just so small. I just don't anticipate much in the way of severe weather with this. Even if the NATO cast thinks that there's going to be possibility here, I just don't see it. I just don't see how that's going to transpire tomorrow. If we go look at wind shear, let's find out what that looks like. I mean, you definitely have some wind shear, quite a bit of it actually, but it really doesn't start picking up until later in the day. And so that there could be a brief window, but their stuff's gonna be elevated anyway. So. I mean, maybe the temperatures are lower. I just don't see it happening. There's just not enough instability. Really need instability to make these big boomers. I don't anticipate anything significant happening in Texas, but we can go ahead and talk about the next day. Let's go take a look at the Storm Prediction Center. So you can see they've got thunderstorm outline here from basically for a good portion of northeast and North Texas, all the way over to eastern seaboard and northern part of Florida. Basically thunderstorm potential all day on Friday. And then on Saturday, we have a slight risk, which I believe is for tornadoes, but we have to wait for day 2. We've got to wait for tonight to see what the tornado problem. It'll probably be a 2% right through here. And let's go take a look at that on the HRRR. Look at the southeast U.S. and kind of take a look we can kind of see the difference between tomorrow in Texas and then, goodness gracious, and then today, Saturday, in the southeast. So you can see this wave of energy coming through Friday, but then this real big wave, or here's Friday, I mean. And then we come into Saturday, and then you can see this wind shear, and we only go up to 18Z here. So if we were to be able to get further out, we would have to pick different models. But you can see this wave of shear that's going to be coming through. Let's look at something that we can actually view this with. NAM 3 kilometers should get us out further. And then there we go. So you can see the bulk shear is pretty good, 56 knots, and then over parts of Mississippi is 86 knots. But let's take a look at the rest of it because that's what we really want to look at. You can see this upper level trough. Let's see if I can draw. And if you guys want to chime in on the chat and ask questions, feel free to do so. But here we have our upper level trough, right? And then you got this big wave of energy right here, and that's gonna go, that way. Well, I can't draw, but it's gonna go kind of that way. It's gonna eventually move over this area right here, which is what the SPC kind of has outlined. I have to click off the. Take a look at that. So you can see right over parts of southern Alabama and then to parts of Georgia. Let's switch back to the NAM, and you can see kind of right in this area is where this is going to be going over. Let's take a look at 850, which is our low-level jet. Let me get rid of all of our lines. So if we look at the low-level jet, this is much different than what we see over Texas for tomorrow. So I don't know what NATOcast is thinking, but I just don't see it. For those of you who didn't see that little sliver right here for tomorrow, I just don't agree with that. But we've got this big piece of energy coming up here. We've got some pretty significant low-level jet. I mean, it's pretty good, especially further up north. I really think that there could be some tornado potential here, just looking at the NAM 3 kilometer here. And there's a decent photograph. I mean, it's not the best looking thing I've ever seen. Let's get a little bit more detailed here. Let's go look at our dew points. We've got plenty of moisture, unlike hey. Yeah, I'll show the excessive rainfall outlook, sure. Let me see if I can go find it. And all right, so here is your day one excessive rainfall. This is for today. Risk of 1 to 6 hour rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance at any point. A slight risk across Tennessee and North Carolina and portions of South Carolina, and then portions of the Louisiana Boot Heel and the Mississippi, southern portion of Mississippi. There, you've got some excessive rainfall risk, and then a marginal risk of excessive rainfall across the rest of Appalachia and down into the Gulf Coast, and then up into Ohio, the Ohio Valley. Let's go ahead and look at day 2. So your day 2 excessive rainfall outlook. There is a marginal excessive day. Wow, I can't talk today. There is a marginal risk for excessive rainfall over portions of North Texas, where I am, and most of Oklahoma. And we can go back over that in a minute if you guys would like. But there's a slight risk of excessive rainfall over portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and then, of course, your marginal risk. So definitely a chance of excessive rainfall, and could they upgrade this to, I don't know, an enhanced risk of excessive rainfall? They could. I don't know for sure. Let's look at day 3. So day 3, you have a continued risk for excessive rainfall covered over portions of southeast Tennessee and Carolinas and portions of Georgia, and even a little sliver of Alabama there for the slight risk. But definitely a risk of enhanced severe outlook. We can look at that too, but we can talk about excessive rainfall as well. Here is the Storm Prediction Center day 3 outlook, if that's what you were meaning to, if that's what you wanted to see, as opposed to the excessive rainfall. Hey, there's gonna be excessive rainfall too, so that's good to look at. But Yeah, we got a slight risk. Let's go look and see if they're actually gonna do. Let's look at some stuff, and I'll tell you what I think about whether or not they'll go to enhanced or not. Um, there's plenty of moisture. That's not in question at all. Let's go look at our lapse rates. It's actually somewhat decent over portions of Georgia, but portion here we got almost 7. Yeah, we got a 7 right here. So some decent lapse rates over portions of Alabama and Georgia. And for those of you who don't know what the lapse rate is, it's the rate of change with temperature um, as a particular parcel of air, or like a balloon. Think of a balloon of air, right? And it's got a certain temperature, and it's going to be different than the temperature around it as it continues to rise. The larger the difference in that temperature, the faster that parcel of air or that balloon would move. And so that is going to be what your lapse rate is. So the higher the lapse rate, the more robust the thunderstorms will be. And if we take a look at the QT, and this looks absolutely terrible. And we got it right on some. Let me see if I can find it. There's one that's a little better. These wintertime ones just are not the greatest. So what this basically tells me is that this atmosphere is saturated all the way up to 700 millibars, which is pretty wild. Lots and lots of moisture, and this is where you would get your excessive rainfall from. That's just a lot of water. Um, and you can see that this sounding is contaminated with all the pink lines. So that's pretty wild. As far as the severe weather threat, let's go ahead and continue to look at instability. There's almost none. I mean, it is wintertime. Um, so that's not really our source of severe weather on Saturday. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate the super chat. I didn't. Usually, it pops up and tells me that you did that. I don't. Do I have to like? Maybe it just doesn't come through yet. But I appreciate that. So anyway, let me get to the next piece of the puzzle here. So we don't have very much instability. Maybe earlier in the day. Let's look earlier in the day. Um, yeah, so earlier in the day we do have more instability. Maybe back here, but the risk is kind of it's over most of southern Alabama. So I mean, there'll probably be. We'll just have to look. Let's um. Oh yeah, I'm looking at the NAM, and the NAM is but for which day though? You got to specify the hour when you're talking about that. I'm not sure. You're going to have to be more specific there, Unforgiven. Um, but let's go ahead and take a look at the helicity because that's going to be. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that would be why there's a slight risk. I would say it would be an enhanced risk if there was more instability. Um, Tomorrow at 06Z. Yeah, maybe tomorrow, but this is for this is more for Saturday. This is Saturday's risk. This is oh my gosh. Why is my internet being slow? So this is tomorrow, this is Friday, and SPC hasn't really outlined anything for as far as risk goes for severe weather. Um I just don't see anything happening over Texas in terms of severe, maybe some pea-sized hail. Um, but I just don't see it. But if we go back to look at Saturday over to southeast states, there's plenty of wind shear. 330, 300. You can ignore all this stuff up here. Probably on the wrong side of the. Let's look at the temperature and wind barbs. So you get this warm sector here. Here you have a cold front, and you can see this cold front pushing through. Let me see if I can. I mean, it's pretty obvious where the cold front is, but I'm gonna outline it anyway, and I'm gonna use the wrong color. But there's your cold front, and then here's your warm front, kind of up here. Actually, let me draw it up here. Here's your warm front, basically right here. And so this all of this right here is the warm sector, quote unquote, and everything back here is on the other side of the low pressure. So as far as your trough goes, let me as soon as I click here, it's gonna no, it's not gonna take it off. Okay, it's gonna continue it. So if I switch over to the 500 millibar, you can see the trough right here. And looking at this, you can kind of see the relationship between the 500 millibar trough and the surface features. Now that I've drawn it on here, um, which is really neat because you can see that the majority of the risk is right here, right in this exit region of this trough. Um, well, thanks, Perez. I don't know how do you say your name, Pezak? I can't see it. Um, Hopefully, I appreciate that though. It's very kind of you. Um, if I go in here and look at the Pezak, okay, Pezak, that makes sense. So if we look at, notice where I drew the low pressure, and then you can see the warm sector. You can see where the other stuff overlaps. Let me get a different color here, and we can kind of. Oh, that what the heck? Why am I not drawing? Because I didn't use the pencil. Okay, so we can kind of draw this here. So this is an area where there's some 850 millibar winds, and then let's go ahead and click on to go back here and pick our bulk here. So we're looking at the 21Z. You can see where the bulk here kind of is. You can see some little spikes right in here, right in here. Thanks, PezX. Appreciate that. Hopefully the stream does go well. Have a good night. But I'm gonna go ahead and continue here. Let's look at the helicity. So you can see where I outlined this is where most of that wind shear is at. Right here in this open warm sector. Let's look and see what the energy helicity index is going to be almost non-existent. But there is some. So if I take even yet another color and we draw the, oops, I forget to use the pencil. Okay, so if I draw this is where pretty much most of our instability is at, right there. So you can kind of see where the shear and instability overlap, and that's where your EHI is. Um, let's see what the significant tornado parameter looks like. Yeah, there's a little bit right here. So if we click here, and I'm gonna get rid of this nonsense. So we have 67 over 66. So it's pretty saturated all the way up to 850 millibars. There's some instability here, and then you get a whole bunch. You have a really big dry layer right here, and then the instability. There's a 923 surface base, but just it's really the lapse rates are really small. So I wouldn't expect any particularly robust thunderstorms. Um, I wish I would in the spring when we do this in the spring. I think we'll have a better idea of what a good sounding looks like. This is not necessarily a good thermodynamic sounding. The wind is fine. I mean, there could be a slight tornado risk, obviously, with this. Really kind of small photograph, but still, it's a decent looking one. Um, so I think that the risk that the Storm Prediction Center has outlined for day 3 is definitely warranted. And then, of course, tomorrow, which I'm not going to be going live tomorrow, but unless there's some sort of storm. But the HER doesn't go out far enough for us to look at Saturday. But yeah, so that's our severe weather potential. If you guys got questions, let me know. We're getting pretty close to the start of spring storm season. It's going to be starting up on March 1st, officially. And hopefully, we'll get some good weather this year and get quite a few good chases in. I'm really looking forward to it. to it as I do every year. But I appreciate you guys' support. Appreciate you guys watching. And yeah, you guys are awesome, and I can't wait to actually get out there on the road again. And I'm gonna try very hard to do these live streams every week. Um, Maybe we can get more and more people in here if I'm more consistent, and we can talk about what the weather. If there's no weather going on, we'll find something else to talk about. But anybody else got any questions? Oh well, that's cool. Yeah, it's probably not going to be too big of a risk. It's one of those you'll probably there might be a couple spin up tornadoes, or maybe it'll be more than that. I don't know. It's still wintertime, so I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens on Saturday. Way too far for me to drive to go find out. Um, maybe in a different life. But and there's so many trees out there. It's just not worth driving out there. But and plus, I got sick kids, so hopefully they all feel better by the National Storm Chaser Summit. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to go to the Storm Chaser Summit again this year. Last year was my first time. Yeah, Dixie Alley is definitely too dangerous. I mean, not that I haven't gone out there and chased. It is possible to chase and be safe out there on some days, but I just don't know. It's one of those I try to avoid going out there. One, because it's too far. Two, because it just you can't see anything anyway. But yeah, if any of you guys would like to chat about anything, let me know. And yeah, let's see. Too many trees. Yep, for sure. For sure. Get rid of the excessive rainfall outlook. There's the NATO cast. Yeah. Well, out there, usually the storm motions are 40, 50, 60 knots, and the tornado's moving at like 60, 70 miles an hour. You really don't want to be caught in front of that thing because you're only going to have, like, depending on where you end up getting stuck in front of it at, you may have a minute or two to get out of there. And if it's a mile wide tornado or more, you're really, really pushing your luck at that point. At 70 miles an hour at a mile wide, it's not going to take it very long to get to you. Um, Especially if you can't see. So yeah, it's just something I try to avoid. So I like chasing in northwest Texas and southwest Oklahoma and Kansas because you can see out there at least. Even if there are trees every now and then, it's not like you can't see what's going on. Whereas in the Ozarks and in southern Appalachia and portions of Alabama, where you're just kind of getting out of it's just you can't see anything out there. You look up and you see trees. I mean, it's not good chase terrain at all. But anyway, well, it's been about 30 minutes. I will probably hop off of here until next week, unless anybody has questions or wants to sit and chat. But we'll be back again next week. I'm gonna try and do this consistently on the same time, the same day every week. Um, Thursday evening at 6:30 probably will work just fine, but we will see how that goes. Um, I can't really do it on Fridays because I got to do Uber. But anyways, if no one else has questions, Well, we'll see you guys later, and hopefully we get some actual storm chasing in pretty soon. Appreciate everybody, and y'all have a good night. Try not to get sick. There's a lot of flu going around right now. Y'all be safe. I am gonna hop off of here. Thank you. February. I mean, it's too far out to know. It might get cold. It's gonna. I mean, it's winter time. It's probably gonna get cold once or twice more. Um, and then we're gonna go into March, and then the storm season starts. So we'll see. But nobody else says anything. I am gonna hop off of here, and we will see you guys next. Thanks. Have a good night.